Hey, welcome everybody. This is another of the Let's Do Well employee financial wellness videos. This one we're doing, this is kind of fun. It's that time of the year, when everybody gets into, let's call it resolution planning or planning for the year and doing this thing. And so, what Craig and I like to do when it comes to resolutions is talk about, some of the things that we do, sort of some of the reasons we go through this. And honestly, we put ourselves through this every single year. And, it seems, Craig, that on a more frequent basis, they're the same three things we're trying to do last year to this year to next year type of thing.
At least we haven't given up yet.
These haven't given up. There's a good thing with it, right? So we'll talk about what those top three resolutions are. Why do we do that? And then we'll quickly touch on some of the different ways, tips, strategies that you can use if you've set yourself a resolution for 2025. How do you make that happen? All right. So real quick, real introduction, but we are your plan consultants. So hopefully you know who you are, we are, but just in case you don't, my name is Tom Alessi. I have been in financial services for 25 years. Those letters after my name mean I am a certified fiduciary when it comes to dealing with your retirement plan. Craig, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Craig Richardson. I've been doing this a little over 21 years myself, and I specialize in working with families, individuals, helping to find their financial goals and have a better relationship with their money.
And we also have kicking around in the background here, Melanie, our associate, is with us as well. Melanie, for those who have had conversations with us or want to do some individual planning, know that Melanie gets involved on that aspect of it. So hopefully, if you haven't done that with us, you can. That way, you'll get a chance to meet Melanie, go through the process, get a little clearer picture, especially now if we're talking about setting up goals and what you're trying to achieve in 2025. All right, real quick for those who don't know, Craig and I founded a couple of years ago. God bless now, Craig, like 5 years ago now,
Yeah.
considering we're in 2025, a
hmm
nonprofit. It's called the Aries Foundation for Financial Education. You can find us on the web at ariesfoundation.org. But really, for Craig and I, what it was doing is really trying to take a lot of those things that we have been talking about and trying to work with people to do and just put it into a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to financial wellness, financial literacy. So check us out on the web. That's where we bring a lot of this content to a lot of organizations and community support groups. All right, resolutions, Greg. Right? Why do we do this? Like why do we put ourselves through this whole? I'm going to do this thing and then suffer the consequences.
Well, I think because everybody's got things that they would like to change or do better. And I think that New Year's is just that new starting point. It's like a fresh slate. We get to forgive ourselves for everything we didn't do the last year and start over again.
And start over again. Yes, and that's one of the things with it. And I think you bring that up, right? The things that we'd like to do, things we'd like to make different or alter or change from it. And as
hmm
we know with everything that we do, change is one of those things. Change is hard.
hmm
It's hard to do, and that's why a lot of times some of these things they fail quickly because we go in with the best of intentions, but we don't have a strategy or a way, to keep ourselves going, right? That whole self-motivation thing, right? It only goes so far. And then it drops off the what is that? Is what do they call it? The second Friday is Quitter's Friday, because that's like when most people have failed their resolutions by that time. Like look it up. It's called Quitter's Day. I believe that's what it is. It's like the second Friday in January is Quitter's Day.
That's right. So just sign up for 2 weeks at the gym and see how you do from there. Right.
Yeah, just the temporary, not the full. Don't go the full blown thing. Just go, hey, like I'm just gonna try this for like the next 2 weeks and see if I'm still going at that point. But so what we want to go through here with this is talking about and just going right there with the whole gym, right? So the number one resolution that comes up every year is, this, let's get in air quotes, getting in shape, right?
hmm
So there's always some aspect to, like you mentioned, the whole joining the gym thing, or I'm trying to lose weight, or you know, not smoke, or do something that's going to get me more physically healthy. That
Hmm.
seems to be the number one thing every year. And I think that goes right to the heart of what you're talking about, Craig, is saying that people want to change something about themselves.
So is this getting in shape or getting in good shape? Because I'm already in a shape. I don't know if it's the right shape.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good shape, right? So yeah, well, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. See, that's the whole thing. It's just sort of getting in shape, but that also can be like eating healthier, you
Hmm.
know, quitting smoking. That's what I mean. Losing weight, going to the gym, blah blah blah. They sort of all get categorized and trying
Improving
to,
your health.
yeah, improving our, that would be a better way to say it, improving your health. But
Right.
it's that aspect of it that's the number one that comes up all the time. And,
Hmm.
it just every year it's the
Hmm.
same way in
Hmm.
terms of going through this. And so I think that's one of the things that you have to be thinking about. And we'll talk about the ways that reasons that these fail, but ways to sort of take control of it when you go through it.
Hmm.
The second one is learning a new skill or getting a hobby or doing something that's else, right? Like, because that's what a lot of people feel like, I'm stuck in a rut or, especially around here because you get into winter. And winter,
Yeah.
forces us inside and forces us not to do things. And we say, oh, well, I wish I had something that I could spend my time on other than what I'm doing or sitting in front of the television set, basically.
Like becoming a draft beer expert at every bar.
Yeah, yeah. See, but I think you can go to a bar for that. That doesn't
I said I go
necessarily
to every
preclude you
bar.
saying,
I could exercise because I'm going out and I'm growing a new skill. Right.
yes. Um, but that's another one of those that's like this is a change thing, and it's hard to do. It's hard to get involved in. It's hard to figure it out, and some of that takes a little bit of planning beforehand.
Hmm.
So it's not like, hey, I can hit the ground running saying, I want to do this thing and I've got no idea of what's involved or how to do it. So you do
Hmm.
have to have sort of a plan in mind and a goal and a way to achieve those things.
Yeah.
And then the last one is improving your financial well-being.
Hmm.
This one comes up a lot, especially as we get those bills and statements from the credit card companies that say how much I spent over the holidays and realizing how much I've got to pay. And, that segues right into all of a sudden now I'm dealing with taxes and doing my taxes. These are sort of those bells and whistles that goes off for folks to say, wait a minute, I want to make a change here.
Yeah. I almost wish Christmas is in June instead of at tax filing time. So, because
Walks hand in hand, right?
yeah, right. Because you just had an appointment the other day and you just talked about how I never overspend except for in the holidays. So,
Yeah. But so these, so those are the top three. You may have made something different. You might have something, but they generally fall within those three categories. Again, the top ones for everybody in terms of this is something I'm trying to do or trying to improve, for me, for myself, for my family, whatever the case may be.
mhm,
And so when we talk about these things, one of the things that we stress with everybody is, and we already said it once, change is hard, but you really got to have very, very specific goals that you're trying to achieve. We make fun of the smart planning being, from Boston, so it's got to be wicked smart, right? When we do this and being wicked smart. But smart means that those goals, those resolutions that you're setting for yourself, they need to be specific. They
mhm,
need to be measurable. It
mhm,
needs to be attainable. You can't be like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, by the end of the month type of thing, right? It's got to be attainable in a way that I can measure it and figure it out.
mhm.
It's got to be timely because you can't just leave it open ended. That's why most people fail because they're just like, oh, I'm going to go join the gym and I'll go, whenever in terms of it. That there's nothing there in terms of specificity to it. And then the one I missed in the step is relevant, the purple bar there, because I think that's the most important in all of it. It's got to
Mhm.
mean something to you, right? It's got to be relevant to you because if it's not relevant, if this is just, hey, everybody else is trying to, lose weight, I want to lose weight. Well, if it's not relevant to you, you're not going to stick with it. That's where that whole self-motivation thing falls away.
Yeah, you got to keep asking yourself and reminding yourself, why am I doing this in the first place?
Yes.
And what's the end result going to be if I do accomplish it? The nice thing about the Wicked Smart plan is that it works for any one of those goals, any of the three we
Correct.
talked about.
It
So if you
really
can,
works for any. It really doesn't matter whether we're talking professional, personal, financial, any type of goal. It doesn't matter.
so if you can meet one goal with this plan, you can meet multiple.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you start using it to build yourself out from there. But in
hmm
order to do that, you really got to have a plan.
hmm
You got to have a way to achieve that goal. Right. And that's where this all comes together is planning is part of this process. You got to understand, all right, I'm trying to achieve this goal. How am I going to get there? What are the steps I'm going to put in place? How am I going to make that happen? Because it's just not going to happen by itself. What do they say about a habit? Like it's something you got to do for like 21 days in a row or something before can actually gets, sort of synced into your brain or something like that.
I don't remember the specific number, but it's something like that. Yeah. Before it becomes something automatically you don't think about, you just do. Right.
Correct, that you just do it. I mean, but that's part of this, and that's sort of what the plan helps you build along with your goal planning is, all right, I've got the steps in place. Now I can put that all together and walk through this and make it happen. And one of the things that if you're really trying to do this, we say it's be flexible,
Mhm.
right? Realize you're gonna backslide, right? That piece of chocolate cake is going to call out to you at some point, and you're going to want to have the piece of chocolate cake or pudding or candy or whatever it is if you're trying to lose weight or trying to stick to some form of a diet or some regimen like that. No, you're going to backslide. It's going to happen. So
Mhm.
just be aware of that and say, don't let it crush you. You know, figure a way that says, okay, I understand. What do they call those? Cheat days, right? Like I got a cheat day type of thing. Like I don't know that works, but if you build it into your plan and it works for you and keeps you on track, then fine, that works.
Yeah, and you got to remember, a lot of times changing habits is very, very hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It wouldn't have a resolution every year. And it's not a straight line. Like you said, you're going to backslide, so you shouldn't expect it to be a straight line. Some days
Right.
you may do well, and some days you may not do so well.
And celebrate milestones. So that's just little victories, right? So little victories along the way. So if you're doing it, you've set yourself up, and if you're really doing this in a way that's smart planning and smart goals, you've got little increments to get you to the larger goal. If I use the example, if the goal was, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds this year, well, I'm breaking that down into how much does that mean monthly, quarterly, et cetera. And if I'm hitting that goal, then maybe yes, I get the piece of chocolate cake to celebrate that milestone.
Well, it also might be a good idea not to eat the sheet cake. It's a
Yes,
celebration, right? But maybe say I'm going to take myself, do something special for myself, go to the spa, go to the movies, go do something I wouldn't normally do that I want to reward myself with that isn't related to the thing you're trying to get away from, because that just
right,
gives you
right.
excuse
Yeah,
to
it's a
slide.
good point for that. All right, so that's what we had for resolution planning. Listen, we're here. If you have any questions, whether they are about your retirement plan, about your financial world, stop the video, that QR code, take your phone out, shoot the QR code. It's going to open up our calendar. You're going to have access to one of the three of us. So pretty much any day, anytime should fairly be available. You can find a time that works for you. Let's set up a time to have a conversation, figure out what makes sense for you, how we can help you sort of plan out whatever it is you're trying to accomplish and go from there.